I'm going to start off by reviewing some Japanese grammar. The website I'm going on is called Maggie Sensei. It's quite an interesting website. It's dog themed, so you'll see pictures of dogs and other animals. So I clicked on the main lessons index where you'll see a bunch of grammar lessons as well as some other lessons all listed on one page. Today we're reviewing datte. Each lesson is quite detailed. There are multiple ways listed in which you can use datte, so it gives you not only just one main meaning, but a list of all of them. What I like to do is I like to open just a note-taking app. I like to learn by writing things down, so I'll write down the main usage ways as well as a couple examples, which helps me learn the grammar principle. If you're learning the principle for the first time, this can also be a good way, although you'll definitely need some supplement, namely like exercises where you can apply. But for a first pass or for a review, I just like to write everything down. One way in which I learn vocabulary is that I pull up Anki on one side and a dictionary on the other side. And I will do my normal Anki reviews. So just click through, recall the words, and if I get stuck on a word that I don't quite remember, I will search it up in the dictionary. Once we find the word, you can see examples, but also I just want to practice writing it so that I can ingrain it in my memory. So I click on the stroke order, and you can either just look at the still pictures or you can look at the website, draw it out for you. And then I just practice writing the vocabulary word a few times because I think I learn pretty well when I repeat writing. Especially for characters. I think it's really good to sort of get that stuck in your brain. Sometimes I just scribble on a blank sheet of paper or just on my iPad on a white sheet, but sometimes I want a little more structured way, so I'll just use a character writing sheet that I made. Well, it looks nicer for one, but also I think the boxes really help you focus on the characters and making sure it's not like super messy, which doesn't matter in the end, but I think it made me feel better and it's just good practice. With these character writing sheets, I know a lot of people just write the same character in every box, but I prefer to write words at a time just because I'm learning words together and not individual characters, so I like to do it this way better. I use the Todai Easy Japanese app. There's a phone app as well as an iPad app, and they have a bunch of easy news that you can read on a lot of topics, not just like politics or economics, but a lot of different topics as well. And it's really nice because they have the furigana, which you can disable if you don't want to read it, but I think it's quite helpful for me since with news vocabulary there are a lot of words that I really don't recognize, so I think it really helps me read more fluently. And you can also look up the words that are underlined, so you don't have to pull out your dictionary every second to see the words. You can just simply look it up directly in the app, and it's really convenient. And for some words that I think I'll encounter multiple times or again, I'll usually just save it to my notebook, which is in the app. They also have a section for more difficult news, and usually these articles are a bit longer, quite much longer actually than the easy news articles. I think the word difficulty might be slightly harder, but I think the main thing is that just the articles are a lot longer. And you can do the same things like look up words and save them to your notebook.
네, 안녕하세요. 문별이다의 문별입니다. 자, 제가 오늘 온 캠핑장은요, 동두천. 동두천 뭐였지?
Recently, I've been getting into watching a lot of Korean and Japanese YouTubers, just for conversational input and also just because they're entertaining. I find a lot with just Korean subtitles, so there are some with English caption as well, but there's definitely a lot more with just Korean subtitles. But there's really a lot of variety, like there's fashion and lifestyle. I know there are a lot of gaming channels I've heard of. There's like the mukbangs. There's really so much to watch, even a lot of like, especially Korean variety shows, actually Japanese too, but a lot of variety shows and comedians have started opening up their own YouTube channels, as well as idol singers and just other people, normal YouTubers. But there's so much content to watch. You can definitely fall into the rabbit hole of watching a ton of videos a day. But I think it's a good compromise between entertainment, taking a break, and just enjoying, but also as immersion material and listening to actually real, natural, conversational Japanese and Korean. I really like reading webtoons as a way to practice reading Korean. I use the Naver Webtoon app, and there's also a desktop version. I think it's nice to be able to immerse in a language just in pockets of time during the day. Like when you have a small break, even 5 to 10 minutes, you can just read like a chapter or two to take a break throughout the day, but also get some language learning practice in. But I also like to read on my phone in my bed when I'm just about to get ready and go to bed. 가만히 놔두면 죽는 병에 걸렸다. 내 머리는 그냥 동그라미로 그리고 있지만 실제 두발 상태는 많은 레이어드 가스를 반영한 방치된 딸집 같은 상태다. 성인이 내 맘대로 머리를 망칠 권리가 있지? 누가 보면 쿨타임이 차버린 것이다. There's a cool website called HSK Reading, which has reading material in Chinese for all levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. The beginner and intermediate ones are quite short, just like a very short conversation that you can read in Chinese. The advanced ones are a bit longer. I like this website because you can also hover across the words if you don't remember what they are. Some articles have the voice recordings as well, so you can listen to a native Chinese speaker speak it. Some of them also have a couple reading comprehension questions at the bottom as well. Sometimes what I do, I will read it silently, but sometimes I also practice reading it out loud as well.
他个子不高，长得很可爱。他不但聪明，而且认真。他喜欢去图书馆学习，所以每次考试成绩很好。他很热，而且总是关心别人。如果别人有困难，他就会帮助别人决定解决问题。他有很多爱好，比如踢足球。